Is all bike tune-ups the same at different shops in different regions? No, not at all. Well, similarities, yes-ish, but I'm going to help you navigate what hell they're talking about of level 1, level 2, level 3, silver gold, whatever brand, upscale, upsell, bike shop, and teach you to do the basics yourself. And if you really need to do the level up or the silver or the gold or whatever level after that. With my 35 years of experience, I will guide you through this journey of what the hell is a bike package tune-up. So you say you want to have your beautiful bike tuned up. It's been a trusty steed in your stable for many months and a lot of pleasurable hours of getting out of your head and wonderful exercise. Time to give it some love. Well, do you want to pay for that love? Well, a lot of us just don't have the time, the resources, or the know-how to actually do the services of the bike, which is totally fine. That's why there's bike mechanics like me. Any case, not all like me are the same. No, all bike shops are the same either. So let's review what a bike package is, usually the 3 basics, and see what you can do yourself on top of, at the end, some tips and tricks of not getting burned by your local shop. Hey, welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with a guy. Hey, I'm Justin the Guy, and if you're your first time here, welcome and appreciated you stopping by my garage. Yes, I'm a bike shop garage, and I've been in the industry for over 35 years, so been doing a lot of the song and dance everywhere else except for my own, and here I am with my own little business. Yes, I do tune-ups. Yes, I have packages. Let's dive into right away what the hell we're here for without wasting any of your time. I'm going to talk about 3 main tune-up packages. These will vary amongst all bike shops. They have different pricing, they have different things they do to them, and in general, sometimes they're a deal and sometimes it's, well, convenience pay. You know, right to the wallet. Let's cut to the chase. They're there with their expertise and help provide the best service for your bike to get out there and ride, in most cases. But let's talk about the 3 packages. The first package is your general tune safety check level 1 bronze, whatever they want to call it, the cheaper tune-up package. You would think a package in itself would actually shrink the price down to give you the best value. A lot of times this is actually marketed that way. True, and you do get a little bit of a savings, maybe. But basically, it's your basic, which you can do yourself. Hey, basic. You can do it with a few tools. So the minor tune, basic tune, gold tune. Oh, okay, we went over that. The basic 3 things that a basic tune, low-level tune is going to be is shifting, brakes, and air and tires. A, B, and C. Air, brakes, and chain. Simple enough, right? Maybe not so much. A lot of people will have their tires too low or too high, give them that uncomfortable ride. So tire pressure, basically stamped on the side of the tire what PSI range. If you're a heavier lad like me, or individual that just likes to go quick, higher the range. If you want a more of a supple ride, go a bit lower pressure. Pretty simple. Different valves. Don't be afraid of the Presta valve. Take a video course on how to use these. You will definitely need to do it on the fly if you need to fix your own flat. Quick releases may vary between bikes. This one's a through axle style, but it isn't a through axle. So yours might vary to be a quick release or through axle. That's something that you'll need to learn, and also as well. Need to take the wheel off. Well, we got to get past these safety catches on the old school ones, and a lot of these brakes, cantilever or V-brake or what have you, will have some release mechanism to open up that brake caliper to drop the wheel out. So your wheel is free. Now what the hell to do? 2 things you need to do to the wheel besides the air. That's number 3. First, you want to check the smoothness of the hub. These will vary between different brands. Some are a cartridge system, some are a cone wrench system. You need to have a little flat tools to do so if they're loose, what have you. Again, Not that hard, in just a quick 3 or 4 minute video, you got that down. But if the hub is smooth and not loose by any means, it's good to go. Then you're ready to get it trued. Oh, do you have one of these? Most likely not. So what you do is you put the wheel back up into the fork, tighten your quick release or bolt through axle, what have you, and then you do need a spoke wrench. You can get one of these multi ones for pretty darn cheap. Look below at my little Amazon store. Then you can adjust the spokes, tighten and loosen to move that rim back and forth. How do you know where you need to go? Well, you use your brake calipers as a guide. Same thing as the truing wheel. And if you don't have a little brake on there and you're a fancy disc brake rider, you can use a zip tie. Zip tie around the actual fork blade and have that little hanging in as a guide to help you figure this straight. This is called touching up a true. Not a full true. We'll get to that in a bit. Important note, while you're taking anything apart, have yourself a rag close at hand with some cleaning solution, something light and polite, to clean the rim surface and so forth. Without a doubt, just go with rubbing alcohol. Reason being, you want that cleaning surface on the brake to be clean as possible for the best braking. You don't want these fancy cleaning solutions will leave you a residue, will prohibit the performance of your bike. You can use it on other parts, but on the rim itself, you want that contact. Same thing for disc brakes and what have you, and lube. Keep in mind, never spray directly onto the bike. No, no. So you're like, Justin, what the hell? What about the rear wheel? Gotcha. You want to knock it down to the smallest cog, meaning shift down to the lowest gear. Like so. That pulls that derailleur right out of the way. Do the same thing with the brake. Use your quick release on this portion here. Opens up the wheel nicely. And then you can expect your hub. That's the only true way to adjust and inspect the hub for smoothness without being loose. The cassette itself, you'll need a special tool to tighten out the cassette if it's loose or to take it off to remove to clean. Videos on that in my library below. Any case, in this light and polite tune-up, they don't take these off, not whatsoever. You can floss it with a rag with a light solution to clean it up by a light scrub down, and then clean the rim off with either some polish and so forth. Then again, rubbing alcohol the rim itself, and you're in good to go shape. Then put it back together and do the little truing. All right, so we got the wheels pretty much taken care of. That is third of your bike, right? Air up the tires to the appropriate level. Making sure the rim is pretty straight, the hub is smooth, and then it's clean and inspected and ready to go. Yes, inspection, make sure there's no cracks, dings, bubbles, there's cuts in the tires, all those little things. Yes, it's kind of a safety check with a professional eye. That's all you're really getting when you're paying for that lower level tune. Well, what's next? Well, we took care of the air. We actually inspected the brake surface and so forth. Do any kind of minor adjustments if you need to once you have that wheel true. Have to do it after you true the wheel or negates the whole process. And if you have a disc system, that's a whole nother video. Check it out. Any case, you're down to the last nitty gritty, the drivetrain. Okay, there's a crap ton of videos on how to adjust the derailleurs and all that. Basic sense of a drivetrain is you need to hit all the gears every time you click a shifter. Right is rear in most cases, and in front you either have a double, sometimes a triple, sometimes you only have one gear at all and you don't have to worry about it. But you still have to double check it. I'm just going to do a verbal run through as I'm shifting the gears, what I'm looking for, and where you find those screws to do those adjustments. Look at detailed videos if you really need to actually fine tune those, because quite honestly, 90% of you go down that rabbit hole and get it all screwed up, and you're going to see a guy like me anyway, which is fine. Totally fine. Go ahead and mess that up. It takes us 5 seconds to fix. I'm going to charge you $50 for it. No, just kidding. Any case, some of those adjustments vary to brand of derailleurs. Gets really confusing. But in any case, look at your particular derailleur specifically to do any of those minor adjustments. But this is what you're looking for. Well, obvious but not obvious. You need to be pedaling for it to change gears. electric or cable actuated or what have you. Start off with the small one in the back and your right shifter. Then you're going to engage it one notch at a time. What you're looking for is going up one gear without hesitation and going up the scale one at a time. Then when you're releasing, you want it to go down one at a time. You want this to be as smooth as possible without any kind of overshifting or undershifting. So on the extremes, small and big, there's two screws to actually adjust for that. They're called limit screws to prevent the chain from popping off or going in. Want those adjusted correctly. You have to adjust them in the proper position, small or big. Then you have a B screw. Sometimes they call it something different. That does the tension of the derailleur, so it doesn't rub up the cogs, depending what cog structure you have. If you change gearing in the back, you may have to play with that a little bit. And lastly is the cable tension that adjusts back and forth. You'll have this thing called a barrel adjuster to adjust so to make it line up correctly. Sounds simple, right? Now give it a try. Now when you're looking at the front, oh, this is where you can get really messed up. So in the small, in back, we call it out and out. You want that derailleur to shift the chain all the way out so it's not rubbing. And once it's in that outer position, you want to adjust that back derailleur all the way to the cross-chaining position. Either it rubs or a little bit of trim may be accounted for adjustment on that. And then you want to make sure it drops down to that small cog. Same thing the other direction. And this too has limited adjustments for out and in to prevent that chain to be thrown either direction. So once you get those fine-tuned and ready to go, then you're in for the biggest thing you need to do with every tune-up. That is called a test ride. Get your butt on this thing. Take it around the block a couple times. Hit all those gears in combination. Feel those brakes. Make sure they're feeling equal and they're stopping you in a best performance possible. There's a whole bunch of tips and tricks on how to do each one of those. But that is your basic tune-up. Pretty much that's really all you need most of the time to get that bike ready to go. When you have the wheels off, inspect the frame and so forth. Do some little extra cleaning and wiping down and so forth. That is your basic of the basics. Now let's talk about the level up, the silver, the bronze, plus, I don't know what they want to call it. This is what I do, and this is what you're kind of expected. So the next level tune-up, you're looking at same thing as what we just did, but a little more in-depth detail. More, I don't know, overhauling a hub, replacing a spoke, or detailing the frame, various other things. But there's one thing that usually goes with the next level up is the drivetrain clean. What that means, it takes the front and rear derailleur off, the cassette and chain and crankset, put it in an ultrasonic cleaner, clean all those bits off, completely stripped from any grease, and put back on with a lubed bonnet bracket, a lubed cassette onto the free hub body, and the chain drive for whatever lube that you want to put on there. You can use a drip lube, or you can venture off and start doing the wax. If there's any compromised parts, which is normal wear and tear parts like chain and cassettes, this is usually the time those get replaced. Therefore, the next level tune-up will cover the cost of the labor of switching out those parts. On the basic tune, they'll charge you for a chain installation and a cassette installation. Shop to shop will vary. But the next level tune is a pretty significant jump, especially if you want to add parts to the mix. In other words, I want new tires put on it, a bottle cage, computer, bar wrap, various other things. Sometimes they'll be included with that next level tune-up. That's where the delineation between the bike shops will start splitting, because some will include more extra labor bits that they're not overcharging you or upcharging you, to be more politically correct. Or you're looking at those that are like, well, I'm here, I'm going to do it anyway, I'm not going to charge you extra for doing that. I've worked in shops that do both. One gives me heartburn, the other one gives me the warm hug. Well, that leaves you, well, has a pretty decent tune, it's pretty solid, and that may only need to be done once every couple years. Quite honestly, a deeper dive tune-up like that will last you more than one season for a general recreational rider. If you're racing, you're putting tons of miles on it, and you don't distribute that amongst many other bikes, you may have to have that bike tune up once a year, which every bike shop will tell you because, well, they want you to come back and spend more money, which is fine for whatever reason that is. I have found the better tune-ups that I provide, deeper dive, a little bit longer time putting into them, will actually have that tune hold for, yeah, you guessed it, more than 1 year, sometimes 2. And really what you need to do is the ABCs. Check your air, make sure it's right, and your tires are still somewhat fresh. You need to be able to know how to switch those out anyway, so get cracking and learn how to do that. That's the basics. Number 2, brakes. Make sure your braking is good and sufficient. Learn how to replace pads if need be. It's not that hard, really, or any kind of adjustment, especially if it's a cable actuated system. And see, the chain, either have a wax system like a lot of my bikes have, or a drip lube or a wax drip lube to kind of refresh that chain to prevent it from wearing out. There's a lot of details for waxing chains and prevention and slowing of the degradation of your drivetrain. I have videos like that in my library as well. But that's what you're kind of looking for in that heavier lift tune. It's gonna last you for a year or 2. Okay, now for the almighty enchilada, the platinum, gold platinum, level 3. Yeah. The top end tune-up packages basically is an overhaul. Back in the day, it was an overhaul. That poor mechanic's gonna be loving your bike for at least 4 to 5 hours. Meaning they're replacing the bearings and the hubs, they're replacing the bottom bracket bearings if need be, headset bearings if need be, if not cleaned and re-lubed, taking all the cables in the housing off, replacing it with new cables in the housing, replacing most likely the bar tape, sometimes grips, and in addition to cleaning the drivetrain and everything else that we just went over. That is a pretty expensive lift, yes, and it's very time consuming and sometimes there's parts involved. That's why it's the most expensive package. Yes, well, I love doing those packages because that gives me the ability to strip the bike down completely to the frame and fork, and then I can do a detail clean of the frame. I use these fancy polishes that are behind me, a compound, polish, and a ceramic coating, just like cars, to make that damn bike pop and also prevent any kind of damage from UV or water and so forth. It does excellent on vehicles and boats. Why not bicycles? Yes, there's some products that actually hit the market that are bike brand specific. Don't get those. Get the brands that actually been doing this crap for the last 10 to 15 years, like Adams Polishes or Lithium. They actually been formulated and proven for years on big vehicles. You know, the ones like Porsche, Maseratis, the real fun cars. Same stuff can be used on bikes, which will make the frame pop, especially if you have one of those fancy paint jobs. That's what my high-level tune-up actually exceeds a lot of others. Not to toot my own horn, but some shops are starting to embrace that and actually doing like wraps and protection for full suspensions and so forth. So those are the particular ones where you get elevated tune-ups where added all those little features. Highest level I have is detailing ceramic coating the frame, the fork, and componentry, as well as completely cleaning the drivetrain and giving you a nice waxed chain. Yes, very other bits will actually cost you more, and that's a flat rate from a lot of shops. What are those? Tubeless tires is one. Pain in the butt. There is some benefits to it, but from a mechanic perspective, that's a time suck. And number 2 is bleeding hydraulic brake systems. That could be a rabbit hole that all of us do not ever want to endure, but yet here we are doing them. Yes, that's what leaves it to the high-level tune-up that you're spending several hundreds of dollars on, plus parts, to get that ride refreshed. Yes, if it's been neglected and abused, it might need that. But keep in mind, that particular tune should last 2 to 3 years, not including work and so forth. It's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. But your basics of your massive tune-ups, that's your basic 3. Yes, cyclists beware. Honestly, a lot of shops out there are not a mom and pop warm hug type of shops. They're very honest of what they do. There's several out there, but they're not all that way. A lot of corporate Kool-Aid from a lot of different shops too. Multiple chains, you know, the corporate stores, that kind of thing, where those shops, I don't know, sometimes will not output the best tune-up possible. They do decent, not going to lie, but they don't do great. What you're looking for is that one shop that does great without spending an arm and a leg to go to. Yeah, if you have the more dollars and cents and you want to be able to just give it to that elitist shop and they do all the work and run through, that's great and fine and dandy. But you're sure enough that you'll find somebody like me in your neck of the woods that used to do a lot of high-end tune-ups, now does it as a side hobby or a lower pace business like mine. Reason being is I don't scale my shop by how many I do per day. Reason being is I do one tune-up, luckily, in one day, because I want to spend all that time to make sure that bike is done right, and I have the luxury to do so. Therefore, I'm not high volume, I'm high quality, crazy high quality. That's insane to say after all these years of being a production mechanic, pushing out tune-ups and so forth. Couple key things you want to keep in mind and what you want to ask at the shop. Well, what those tune-ups are and kind of get a grasp of what they're going to be doing to your bike for that price. What's included, what's not included. Another key thing is, and this might be a little difficult to ask is, but you should, does your mechanics work on commission? Let that sink in for a second. Why? Well, if you're a commission-based mechanic, you're like a server at a restaurant. The more tables you can serve, the more money you make. In other words, a lot of quality is cut. Not saying always, but a good chance. Reason being is that poor mechanic is getting paid way below market value, is working twice as hard to try to bump the actual commissions to offset that low wage. Ooh, tough one. What you want to have is a shop that doesn't have two things you want to watch out for. Number one, commissions. And the second thing is 24-hour service turnaround. Not to knock it, but hey, if you don't have 20 mechanics back there just sitting on the benches waiting for that tune-up to come in and they have all day to work on their bike, that's not going to happen. You're not going to have good quality service done for the most part. Some, yes, but that gets knocked down because it gets pushed in the same realm as commissions, as many as they can. They can't have that bike sit there for 24 hours because they get docked. Not the greatest philosophy, not the greatest formula. I've worked it, I've done it. I've tried to push it as a service manager. The best I could get with the best mechanics I had on hand, which I had some really stellar, immaculate mechanics, I got to 48-hour turnaround. That was the best. Any case, try to find a shop that does appointment based, give them a few days to work on that bike, and get them back to you. Lower the stress on the mechanic, the better quality tune-up you're going to get. Here's another gold nugget. Two, matter of fact. One is you wanted to have your bike tune up in the off season. Reason being, best mechanics are still around and they have the time to work on it. They don't have anything else to do. They don't want to shovel the walks outside in the snow. They want to work on your bike and give it as much love as possible. And then go for a coffee break and come back and give it even more. You know, it's kind of a weird love affair thing. In any case, it gives them that opportunity to work on the bike longer. The second bonus is, most of the time, those bike shops will have a discounted rate in the off season to draw those people in to keep their good mechanics around and busy during the off season. So it's a win-win. Okay, the season's already hit. You're a procrastinator like the rest of us in the world. Well, what are you going to do? Vet a bike mechanic that takes appointments, and actually if it's a couple weeks out, be fine with that, because at the end of the day, you can now do your own basic little tune, keep you going until you need the big enchilada. Yes, you want to give them time, even in the busy season, to work on your bike proper. That's why my particular business model is wonderful. It's all appointment based. Give me a few days to work on it, and then I fit in everything else that's more critical, and then I produce the best performance tune-up possible at the end of the day. But hey, my life is a lot less stress, which will in turn give you a lot less stress when you're going out for a ride, because this beast is going to perform as best as possible. Hey, well, thanks for hanging out with me in the garage. If you have any experiences with tune-ups and shops and levels and services and all that, or if you do have a shop and you do those, comment below. It is a community here, so please share. And thanks for hanging out with me in the garage. You'll find all my tools and tips and tricks in the description below, in addition to Amazon store for tools that you may need and various other products. Hey, if it's nice in your neck of the woods, please go for a ride. And until next time, have a wonderful day.
Got the mighty power boost. Woo!
When in doubt, always take your bike to have a safety check done to a local bike shop by a professional mechanic. This will ensure your ride will be safe and enjoyable. Have a great ride. Thank you for joining us in the garage.